Hello, everyone. I am going to wait for Sarah to join, but today we are doing a client Q&A with Sarah Pritzl, a client who I have been working with for the last 3 to 4 months, maybe even beyond that. And so I know that this is going to be an awesome live for you to be tuning into. So we will hang out and wait for Sarah to join. All right, she is in the house. Let's see. Let me see if this. Yay! We're doing this. I don't hear you. I don't know if other people can hear you. Wait, I maybe hear you now. Say something.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Good.
Hi, it's good to see you again.
See you.
So just as I was saying, everybody, so for anyone who might be new to me, I am Jeannie. I am a life coach. I focus my business on helping women and men. I feel like I got to throw that out there since I have a couple male clients, but break through the fear and self-doubt that holds them back from really being their next level self. And it is so important to me that I do this work because I know how many amazing and awesome and capable women there are in this world who are still living in this space of, but are my dreams meant for me? Why me? Am I the person that should be stepping into what I know I desire? And this world is a better place when women recognize what they're capable of and choose to break through that fear, that self-doubt, the not enoughs that hold them back. And when you break through all that and you live in the space, the land of possibility, and taking aligned action, what that can do, not only for you, but for the world, for the people that you're going to be helping and inspiring. There's just so much goodness there. So I have a 3-month coaching program where I work with my clients weekly for 3 months to help them become their next level self. And Sarah and I have been working together for going on 4 to 5 months now. We started working together in September. After the 3 months together, she re-enrolled in working with me for another 3 months, which is like just the greatest honor. And it's just been so fantastic watching Sarah take these steps and break through these, I want to say these mountains and turning them into molehills and really seeing you step into who you are, what you came here for, and what God is calling you to do. So I am very excited for you to meet Sarah Pritzl. I know that this is going to be so awesome for anybody who has any questions on what coaching is and what this is all about. And yeah, I really think that at this point, like, we'll just kind of dive right in if that works for you.
Sounds great.
Awesome. So I actually would love for Sarah to introduce herself. Tell us a little bit about you, where you live, give us, whatever you'd like.
Absolutely. So as Jeannie said, I'm Sarah. I grew up in eastern Wisconsin, actually about an hour from Jacob's family, which is a fun little connection that Jeannie and I have.
For sure.
Now I live here in St. Paul. In terms of my story, I feel like I'm probably not alone in this, but I feel like I have a pre-2020 story and a post-2020 story. Heading into 2020 was living a very comfortable, perfectly acceptable life. And then the universe decided to shake things up a little bit. That involved the end of a long-term relationship, obviously a global pandemic, a long and very healing summer with my family, and then eventually a very intriguing opportunity to start my own business, which is about the time that I got introduced to you.
Awesome. Everyone, I think, can relate to having a pre and post 2020 story. I think one of my favorite things about all that has taken place is just who people have become in the process in a good way. I feel like, of course, there's so much into that throws a lot of challenges your way in life, but also when you then come on the other side of that and say, holy moly, look at who I've become. It's like such a beautiful thing. So I wanted to ask you, like, what led you to me? What prompted you to submit an application to work together? And then we'll dive into like, what hesitations did you have before you decide to pull the trigger and work with me for 3 months?
Perfect. It's weird. I can actually remember where I was when I first heard about you. I was walking just around my neighborhood, and I like to call people that I love when I'm doing that. So I was chatting with a good friend of mine who knew of you and followed you on Instagram. She's like, you and Jeannie have just like a freakishly similar story. And she's like, I think you'd really enjoy her message and her energy. She's like, you should just follow her on Instagram. So she sent me your information. I followed you for a while. And then obviously, like I said, I was doing this transition from employee to business owner.
Yeah.
I knew I wanted a coach through that transition. I've been lucky enough to work with a coach in the past, so I knew the impact that it could have. I was leaning on my sister a lot at the time for help. She's a business owner as well, and she will always be there to support me and encourage me, but it became, I was relying too heavily on her. I wanted us to go back to being just sisters and quoting friends and whatever else we get to talking about, right? So I wanted someone else to step into that more formal coaching role, and that's when I reached out just to learn more about your program and how you work with clients and things like that.
Awesome. So, I mean, talk to me. You reached out, you submitted an application, we hopped on a call together. What hesitations did you have in working together? Because I know not only you're not alone in these, but other people could be having these exact same hesitations right now.
For sure. I had two coming into our sort of discovery call, I would say. The first was that I do a lot of personal development work on my own. I read a lot of books. I listen to a lot of podcasts. It was a big part of my previous role and a part of my role that I really loved. Like, I enjoy it. And so there was, at a surface level, this feeling of like, well, I could do it on my own. But more so underneath that, there was this just exhaustion of like, I don't need someone telling me what I already know I should be doing, which, spoilers, is a foreshadowing of a future breakthrough. But that was one aspect of it. And then the second was on the cost. Obviously, not only a career transition, but a big financial transition as well. And so there was just a lot of uncertainty of what my finances would look like in the coming months.
Absolutely. You know, it's so funny because I remember both of those specifically when we hopped on a call. I remember you saying, like, I love this stuff. I immerse myself in it. Can I do this myself? Like, and you're like, that's a hesitation I have, is some part of me feels like I can just muscle this on my own. And do you recall what I said back?
I don't actually, because I feel like that one was the easier of the two to get over.
Yeah, that was one where I just remember saying back, like, sure, but then why are you submitting an application to work with me right now? Like, something is still in you that says, as much as I am immersed in this, there's something still holding me back from being who I want to be. And like, I might need a little support in that.
Right. Well, exhibit A was how often I felt the need to call my sister. So I was like, someone through this.
I think that's so good, because I think so many people have those moments of like, well, I can do this. And then you're like, oh, but I need somebody. Like, I need some validation, or I need to run this past someone, and those are the moments where you're like, okay, I get that I can do this on my own. It doesn't feel good. And it's not really taking me to a place that I want to go.
Right.
And you said that the other one was the bigger hesitation, which was the financial part of this. So just so everybody knows, working with me and being a part of my coaching program, we work together every week for 3 months. We do a 45-minute coaching session. And that is at the price point of $3,000. So Sarah, when you saw that, what were you thinking and feeling? And what conversation did we have that still landed with you being like, all right, I'm doing this?
Yeah, it's funny because we just talked about this earlier today, but I came in with the assumption that that was sort of would be paid in installments, maybe like per session or once a month you make a payment or something like that. And so I brought in all of my limited negotiation skills, asking if we could spread that out over a period of a longer time, or maybe I wait to start until I'm a couple months in, all of the excuses, right? And then you shared, I you just literally interrupting me in the most gentle way, but you're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I actually ask my clients to make that payment up front. And it was that freedom of just like, wait, I can just show up and like do the work and I don't have to worry about the payment anymore. Oh, okay, I could get on board with that. I could make that payment now. It took away that uncertainty of I don't know what my finances are going to be later. I know what they are now. So I can make that decision today. And from there, it was just a full body yes.
I think that's like so awesome. I have goosebumps. Okay, two things that I want to dive into with that. First one is when you said like, okay, I can make that all right now. I don't know what my finances are in the future, but what was that trigger that was like, I'm going to do this? Because I think a lot of people have the money, but they don't put it towards something like this. So what would you say about that? And then also, can you tell us what a full body yes is? Because this is something that I've heard specifically from you a couple of times now. So yeah. A lot of people, I think with their heads, think with their brains and not their bodies. And so I'd love for you to share that.
Yeah, let's maybe start there then. I stole it from Elizabeth Gilbert. She was on this podcast with Tim Ferriss. It's actually a podcast episode I've probably listened to 5 or 6 times. There's just so many good nuggets in there. I keep coming back to it. She talks a lot about listening to how your body responds to thoughts and ideas and decisions. And when something feels good, you feel just relaxed, right? And there's no tension or resistance that you feel in your body. And so she said she now makes decisions based on whether or not something is a full body yes. I'm not doing that all the time, but big decisions, I do check in and I'm like, how does this feel in my body? And is it a full or no?
Yes, I think that's awesome. Yeah. So thank you. I mean, even that alone is just like the fact that was a full body yes to work with me is like a full body experience for me. Like it makes me feel so warm and so emotional. I just want people to know like that is what I want for my clients. When I have a client application where I'm reading through it and we meet and we talk through it and they're like, I don't know. I don't want anybody enrolling with me if they don't know. I want them to be like, I can't imagine not doing this. That's because your body feels that. This like, I get that my brain says this is a lot of money. My body says I can't imagine not making this investment in myself. And that's a lot of the work we do is just focusing on listening less to the fear-based part of our brain and more living in our truth and alignment and what feels good and taking action that feels right, not feels forced, and how important that is to our success long term. So we have been working together for quite some time now, and just share with the crew, what are some experiences that you feel some breakthroughs you've had over the last few months that have stood out to you the most? Because again, I think a lot of people still don't fully understand coaching. I think people are still like, what? Yeah. So share like what stands out to you the most when you think about how you've grown from our work together.
Yeah. That's a good point, because I came in, like I said, having worked with a coach before. So I knew on some level what the experience was like, what I've gained from it in the past. So I did have some baseline. Mm-hmm. In terms of breakthroughs, I think a lot of what we talk about are the shoulds, do this, the not enoughs. And you've really helped me find the and in some of my more polarizing thinking and just recognizing the grace that is the word and. I would say those are the 3 things that have been most impactful because they show up in so many areas of life, right? Sometimes it's just like, now that we've done some work together, it's like, oh, well, I can apply those same things we talked about over there to this should that I'm telling myself here, right?
Yes.
Very helpful.
Can you share with people what you mean by the shoulds?
Yeah.
And what you mean by the and?
Yes. So the shoulds, I'll give you an example just from last night. I'm like under a very warm blanket, very comfortable watching Downton Abbey for the first time. I know I'm behind. And I had this thought, an episode ended, and I was like, I should really get up and do the dishes. And sometimes there's a weight of these shoulds that we put on ourselves, right? And so it's just a matter of stopping and being like, well, says who and why, right? And just getting curious about the intention behind the should. And maybe you still do that thing. Like I still got up and I did the dishes, but the reason for it was different. The reason was
Yes.
knew how good it would feel in the morning to come down to a clean kitchen and a clean pot of coffee ready to be made, right? And so it was just a different intention behind it.
Amazing. Can you give us an example about this? And
Yeah.
what am I thought work almost? Like, talk to me about how the and has been helpful for you.
Well, one of the I figured we'd get to this session eventually, but one of my favorite sessions was when we just ranted about how amazing the body is. We had like a 10-minute rant about just how cool our bodies are and all the
It's
things.
incredible. I'm going to repost a reel that Sarah sent me yesterday, because literally this 1 minute reel like encompassed a 45-minute session that we had. But Sarah will probably tell you why we talked about that session or why we're talking about the body, but go ahead.
Yeah, so I brought to you this thought I was struggling with, where I couldn't see a world in which I could love my body as it is today and be taking steps towards making it healthier. And the opposite of that was either I'm making it healthier, which means I subsequently hate my body today. Like I couldn't find the and between what is now and a future healthy, treating my body well vision, right? And I'll never forget the feeling, going back to my body, like the feeling in my body when you asked me, what do you love about your body? And it was so uncomfortable because I didn't want to go there. I didn't want to think about it. And I just took a deep breath, and I've been thinking about the breath a lot. I've just been getting back into yoga and things. And I was like, you know what? It's pretty amazing that I'm breathing and my heart is pumping and I'm not doing anything consciously to make those things happen for a majority of the day, right? And that just literally spiraled into this, like I said, 10-minute conversation between you and I of all the amazing things our bodies do for us and allow us to feel and experience and participate in.
For sure. And just what you said about the and, it's like so many people live in the space of, well, if I love my body, then that means I'm giving it what it wants, which is ice cream every night.
Right.
And how then you, not you in particular, but somebody could beat themselves up for that and be like, well, and then they hate on themselves. They're like, well, shouldn't I be treating it well? Shouldn't I be going to the gym? Shouldn't I be? And it's like these shoulds and this energy that just takes you. I think people don't have, I don't want to generalize it. When you realize how your thoughts create your energy and you learn how to change them, it is incredible what that can do for your life. And the thought of, I hate my body, and like how you just can trash your body in your own mind, and how that allows you to show up in the world can really, your thoughts create your reality. And so when Sarah and I had that conversation and we're like, wait, you can love your body and want to improve it, I know that provided you gray area that you were really craving. Absolutely. That you were really attracted to step into, and it has felt good to step into it since. And again, I talk about like your thoughts create your reality. It does. And it's because when what you think impacts how you feel, and how you feel impacts the actions that you take. And those actions will have a result that either will benefit you or make you feel worse. And when you do the thought work that gets you to feel amazing, and then it gets you to act in that place, not in the place of, oh, I don't like my body, so I have to work out to change it. And then that workout becomes kind of miserable for you. And then you somehow end up like overeating later that night anyways, because of whatever reason. It's like this and bridge, I think, creates the space for you to love yourself and improve yourself. And that's not a bad thing.
Right.
That's not a bad thing. That works. It totally works. Okay, couple more questions that I have for you. How do you feel different? Slash, what are you not struggling with anymore that you once were? So I know we kind of talked about that, but like, how do you feel different?
Yeah. I feel I'm going to try to choose my words carefully, but I feel more in control. Like I feel more intentional is maybe a better word.
Mhm.
Those those thoughts, like I said, aren't necessarily gone, but I'm learning to my relationship to them is remarkably different, right? So like last night in my example for the dishes, like I got to a point where I was like, you're right, I should get up and do the dishes. Okay. So it's just like the energy behind it and the attention behind it becomes so much more my own instead of whether it's like cultural pressures or whatever else it might be, right?
Mhm.
It comes back to me being in the driver's seat.
Awesome. This is kind of a rogue question, so sorry to go a little bit off of what I had sent you to be like, here's some questions I'm going to ask you, but this just kind of hit me. A lot of my clients that I work with, we usually, and I say that generally, but usually stay in one lane in terms of I really help them with their businesses, like develop this energy of stepping into their business and being and showing up for their business goals. Or I have the clients where I help them more personally work through whatever's going on. I feel like you and I have really worked together on both.
I would agree.
And I want to know, like, can you share with everybody just, I almost want to say like how that comes about. And when I say that, I mean like the format of when we kick off sessions, what that looks like and how, your experience with working through the topics that we work through.
Yeah, I guess I don't view them as separate. Um,
Yeah.
I never really have. I used to do some sort of quote unquote business coaching in a previous role, but we always ended up talking about life, right? Like I don't see a line. If I'm
Yep.
better, I'm better in the other. I'm showing up better in the other, right? Um, and so, yeah, I usually come to our sessions with some sort of like general idea. Like today we talked a lot about vision. Um, or I mean, there have been days where it's not planned at all, and I'm just like, Jeannie, I'm stuck here.
Mhm.
You just see where it goes. There's not like a goal destination necessarily, because sometimes we end up in a place that I would have never expected, but is exactly where I needed.
Awesome. How would you describe working with me?
You're adorable. It's such a partnership. Um, I know I texted this quote to you, but just for everyone else who's listening, I heard Glennon Doyle say on one of her podcasts last weekend, we only trust people who remind us to trust ourselves. And that's how I think about our relationship. There maybe once or twice I've gotten an actual opinion out of you, but for the most part, you're just turning the questions back around to figure out what's true for me. And that has, again, been just very empowering and, like I said earlier, putting me back in the driver's seat of whether that's personal, professional, or whatever. So I appreciate that a ton.
Awesome. By the way, if anybody has any questions during this, whether it's for me or Sarah, please don't hesitate to put them in the comment section because we'll be running through those. But I have a couple more questions for Sarah. If someone watching this is struggling with similar thoughts and feelings that you've struggled with, and you might want to just circle back to like what those were, what that you aren't really struggling with anymore. But if they're hesitating about enrolling in coaching, what would you tell them?
Um, I like that you say if they're struggling with them, because I would venture to guess that most people at one point or another have
Yeah.
felt that pressure of the should, have worried if they're doing enough in one area of life or another, have maybe had some of those polarizing thoughts and needed or desired to find the and in the middle. So I'd venture to guess that most people have, in which case I would say that they're not alone. Um, they're human, right? And I would say that they deserve to live a life free of that weight, a life that's more abundant, that's more peaceful, that's full of possibility, as we talked about this morning, instead of a life that is sort of narrow and fear-based, scarcity-based, right? It's just sort of this like opening and expanding feeling. Um, And not only did they deserve to live that life, but I think this world needs them to do so. Like, they were placed here for a reason, and to have a coach is to just help you tap into all that you were destined to be.
Amazing. Just like you said, I mean, I appreciate you saying that most people are struggling with this.
Yeah.
And I also think a lot of people beat themselves up for it when they start picking up on what these thoughts are. So when they're like, I don't think highly enough of myself. They're like, well, why don't I think highly enough of myself? And, you know, and then they have this like real dialogue that doesn't get them closer to loving themselves or taking aligned action or believing this is an abundant universe filled with every single thing that they desire. And they just sit there in this place of just being really, I mean, I like using the analogy of the body because everyone can relate to it in some way. And it's when someone's sitting there hating hating what the vehicle they're carrying around, you know, that they live in.
Yeah.
And how that can keep them from, I don't know, being their next level self, like hold them back from showing up as someone who is incredibly beautiful. Going back to this, and it's like, why can't we all look different and all be beautiful?
It's like, I mean, everything you just said goes back to that thought I had, my hesitation coming into our first call, right? Of like, I don't need someone else telling me what I already know I should be doing.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that was just like the weight of this guilt of like, okay, well, because I listen to all these podcasts and because I read all these books, I know what I'm supposed to be doing, but it was like trudging through muck, you know,
Yeah.
to try to do it on my own, and to have some sort of just guide partner in that has been very powerful.
Awesome. A few more things. So one thing that comes to mind for me when this came to mind for me when I first created this coaching program, and I was like, okay, $3,000 working with me for 3 months weekly. Yeah. I mapped it out, and I'm very much like, you know, I walk the talk. Like, I'm such a life coach. So I'm like, this stuff I'm obsessed with. I fully believe that this is going to change people's lives. Yeah. Yet at the same time, I had this little piece of, you know, I want to say like the corporate world that was like, well, how are people getting a return on their investment? If you're not making them money, if you're not sitting there guaranteeing they're going to get $3,000 back from your $3,000, why would someone invest in this? And I, of course, worked through that and grew through that. But I would love to hear from you because I think a lot of people think that way. How do you feel that you have received a return on this investment? And so much so that you're like, I'm doing this again. Here's another $3,000. We're working together for another 3 months.
Exactly.
Like, yeah, talk to us. Because I think a lot of people are also fear-based about money. Like, we got to hold on to it. We can't be spending it that way. So share with us.
Yeah. I get that. I think there's 2 ways to look at a return on investment coaching. You can look at the emotional return on investment, and you can look at a financial return on investment, right? Like, emotionally, I show up better for myself, for everyone that I love, everyone that I'm interacting with, for this business that I'm launching, right? It's just across the board. I show up better. And because of that, that's a sort of return on investment, in my opinion. Financially, all of the thought work we've done around worth and value and the not enoughs has been monumental in getting me to shift how I think about my pricing structure of my business and all these things. And most recently pivoting to doing some life coaching on my own, to just stop trying to be my sister and really come into building a business that is truly mine, and one that I'm just so excited to build and grow and see where it takes me.
I think that's like, I want to bottle that up. And I say that because I think so many people think, if you're not going to guarantee me a $3,000, return back, I'm not going to invest in this. Yet at the same time, when you begin to do the work on yourself, there was a text, Sarah, you had sent me a text last week where you're like, I didn't work much today, but I worked really hard because you did a lot of personal work. You worked through your thoughts and feelings on, you know, a particular day. And I said, congratulate yourself, celebrate the work you're doing. The work you're doing is the work a lot of people don't do. A lot of people focus on action focused work, and they don't understand why they're in the same place after so long of doing different things. And it's because subconsciously you don't know the kind of thoughts you're having or the reason why you're going about something. And when you dig through that, you can then uncover what's going on, break through it, break free of it, learn tools, have some tools to move forward from it. And I think people who aren't in coaching might be like, what are you talking about? But it's just how this stuff works. If you subconsciously have this thought that money needs to be saved and not spent, then your whole life, that is exactly how you are going to show up. The same way that if you're trying to sell your business and somebody says anything to you about like, I don't know if I have the money for it, you'll be like, I totally understand money. And you're thinking, you don't realize you're thinking money's meant to be saved.
Right.
But that's the energy that you end up putting off, where instead you say, you not only get comfortable with money and abundant with money, but you say, and you realize and lean into, I'm worth X amount of dollars. And here are all the reasons why. And you begin to really believe it. And you begin to really teach yourself to show up for that worth and that energy. Money does come your way.
Right. And we both have in a degree of financial background, right? So we're intentionally using the word investment, right?
Yes.
And long-term, like, yes, money's meant to be saved, and yes, you should spend money on fun things.
Yes.
This is different. This is its own category of like,
yes,
this is an investment in who I am as a person, in my business, and where it's going to go. That's how I approach this versus spending $3,000 on a new couch. That's a totally different asset, right?
Yeah.
And so I just wanted to call that out, that the word investment is very intentional there.
Absolutely. I share my experience with hiring my first coach. When I first hired her, it was a moment of, this was like before I sent the money over. I was like, can I afford this? Yeah. Just so everybody knows, I've grown a lot since then. Yeah, I could afford it. But your brain goes, can I afford this? Oh no. And then my body said, you can't afford not to do this.
Yeah.
That was my full, I didn't even realize this full body yes at that time. But when I think about that moment, all I could think and feel is, Jeannie, you can't afford not to for your goals and your dreams. You can't afford not to. And I think with you and me, Sarah, I'm going to mention this. Sarah aspires to be a life coach. She is lit up by this stuff. It is no surprise to me when you first shared that with me. I don't know if you were nervous about what I was going to say, knowing we were working together and that I was your life coach. But I was so thrilled, and it makes so much sense, because when you are all in on that stuff, you invest in yourself in regards to coaching because you know the value of it. You are immersed in these books and podcasts. You can't not be that person that you are. You can't not be that person. And Sarah is like, I remind her constantly, you got to be your own best client first. And her working with me has allowed her to become that, has totally allowed her to become that. But it just goes to show, like, if you're going to invest in this, then you believe in this enough to have other people invest in you too. That's not going to go away.
Use your words, it becomes a non-decision, right? That's just another way to look at the full body yes. I was investing in a training course, and I was sharing this with Jeannie, and I was waffling because it is quite a lot of money. It is a 9-month program. And at one point you were just like, are you going to do it? And I was like, well, yeah. And it's a non-decision. Why are we still talking about it? And I was, thank you. That is the kind of energy that got me really excited about working with you. Just to be like,
yes,
you've made the decision, you've done the work. That's all. Go do it. Sign up.
It's so funny sometimes when I have client sessions, because there are ones where there certainly is a decision to be made, and we've got to work through them.
Yep.
We've got to work through what that decision is going to be.
Yep.
There are other sessions where I'm like let's just knock this one off. Are you going to do this anyways? Do you want to do it? Is it a full body yes? If those are yeses, sick. So when are you going to be enrolling? And like all of a sudden, it takes the weight of the decision off of you.
Yep. I think I signed before noon that day, and it was like done.
Yeah. But prior, you were like, I think by Friday I'll do it. I'm like, if you are going to do this no matter what, why don't you just do it today? And then you don't have to think about it.
Yep.
Man, people. It's not you, it's the brain. It's the brain. It's how our brains work. Our brains are like so complicated. We got to uncomplicate it. Is there anything else you would add? I'm trying to think if there's anything else to ask you, but is there anything else that you would add? No?
I mean, I would just say thank you.
Thank you.
I'm excited to be doing it alongside of you. I think we come at it from a different way, but have a similar passion for this work. And so just very thankful.
That's so awesome. I appreciate you so much. I appreciate every one of my clients so much. I'm so thrilled for you to do this work because it's meant for you. It's meant for you. And this work is important because we do help people. Yesterday on a client session I had, my client was like, Jeannie, where have you been all my life? And I said, we kind of had a short conversation about that where I'm like, can you imagine if I was still in corporate America thinking, oh, I really wish I was a life coach. I just know I am one. I wish I was doing this. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, but I'm scared. I don't know how I'm going to go about this. Do you realize if I was still there, I wouldn't be here right now? And we had that conversation because I want that to inspire whoever is watching this right now, that you stepping into what you're called to do, what you're passionate about, what lights you up. People think of it very selfishly. People think of it as, because they think of it selfishly. They think of it in a way of just like, well, then I'm going to become some business owner who's only after money, or like, I don't know, whatever stories they might be telling themselves. When you show up for what you love, what you desire, who you are, what you're called to do here in this world, that has an effect on other people. Not only that allows you to live your best life, you are happier, you have more energy. It's like you're loving life.
Yeah.
The fact that I get to do this for a living is like, it blows my mind. I have that moment daily where I'm like, God, I can't believe I get to do this for a living. And those are the moments that people think that they don't get to have those moments. They think, I don't get to do this for a living. This should be harder than what it is. Life should be hard. Life isn't a bed of roses, and it's not a bed of roses. Just because I show up to what I do and do life coaching and I love it so much doesn't mean life is a bed of roses. It just means that I'm in full alignment. And what that does, not only for my life, it allows me to succeed and thrive because I'm just lit up by everything I do. It's the easiest sell in the world because I'm obsessed with this. I think everyone really should do life coaching if they are battling with being in a place that they aren't happy about. So, side note, but also it inspires and helps others. Sarah can look at me and be like, she's doing this. Why can't I? Right. Amazing. You can do it too. Look at someone like me and say, damn, if she's doing this, I can do it too. And people living the lives they desire allows others to look at them and see that. And the work I'm doing directly helps people. Imagine if I was still in corporate America and Sarah was still sitting here struggling with these thoughts, feelings, struggling to break through to this next level self. That would be selfish of me. And that's a lot of times the work that I help my clients with is recognizing what really is selfish versus selfless here. Yeah. Because everything we're doing is to help people. Go on. I'll get off my soapbox. Go on.
You're good. I love quotes. We've worked long enough together that I love them. The one that comes to mind just as you were talking is liberation is not one way, right? And so if it helps to think about it that way, I know it helped me as I was making this transition. It's like, well, who else might I be inspiring, or who else might I impact to live more from this inspired place, right?
Yes.
By doing this work for myself. So
Yes.
fish, right?
You are
But
going to inspire so many people. It's like, again, it's inspire and actually help.
right.
You'll be doing, and you get to live the life you're meant for.
Yep.
Why
It's
is that bad?
just, I'm laughing because if anyone goes to your website and sees my testimonial about the emojis, it's like
You
that.
can find that on my about page. I don't know if you saw that, Sarah. I put it on my about page. I'm like, here's what a client has to say about me, but go on.
That soapbox that you just were on, that's those three emojis in a nutshell.
Tell us the emojis.
Yeah, so there's sunshine, right?
These are, by the way, everybody, these are unprompted. Unprompted. Sarah was like, if I were to describe Jeannie in 3 emojis, I was like,
Here's what they would be. Sunshine, because you bring this energy, this exact energy that you just shared with us, to every session, right? And help us shine a little light on the dark, not to be very cliche, but the darker areas of our life, right?
yeah.
The lion, because you just fiercely, fiercely believe in your clients from day one. I remember thinking at one point, like, you said, you're worth this. And I'm like, we just met. But you bring that fierce belief in people from the beginning. And then third was the mind blowing, because there are some sessions that I'm just like, oh, I get it. So just be prepared to have your mind blown from time to time if you do work with her.
That is awesome. Sarah, thank you.
You're welcome.
I appreciate you. I like you guys. Go again. Call me selfish. I'm obsessed with my clients. I love them so much. I believe in them. This is going to be cliche, but whoever's watching this, I believe in you. Like, and I'm not even being that person that is like, work with me. I believe in you. Like, it's like, I really believe everybody can have the success they desire, can live the life that they want. And it's meant for you. It's meant for you. And that's why I've been so called to do this work, because it just took me some time to realize this isn't in everybody.
Right.
When I say this, I mean this energy, this belief. Like, there are incredible women and men out there struggling with these thoughts and feelings of, maybe this is not meant for me. Maybe there are too many people in this world that are doing this thing. I mean, I can't. And I say I can't because, sure, maybe there are a bajillion life coaches out there. I don't care. If somebody is still struggling with thoughts and feelings that are keeping them in a place that isn't helping them, then that means there are not enough life coaches out there. That is how I think.
Yeah.
If somebody is still worried about raising their prices because somebody, might say no to you, that's coaching. That's working through, why are you setting this price? Why do you believe in this price? How will this price actually benefit everybody? How will this attract your ideal client to you? If people are still out there struggling, there are not enough life coaches in the world. So whoever's watching this is thinking or feeling, I wish I could be this person, but there are too many of them in the world, you're wrong. If someone out there is still struggling with something you can help them with, there are not enough people in this world doing the work that you're meant to do. There's not.
So true.
There's not. And I really do believe in people. I really do. I really do. Sarah, you're a doll. Thank you. I have loved working with you. I am so thrilled that you've made this investment to continue to work together, because just makes my mornings happy,
I really do. Every week.
Yeah, I look forward to it every week as well. Just throwing this out there once again, if anybody is interested in working with me, or if you have any questions, like, DM me. Don't hesitate to shoot me a DM, shoot me a message, shoot Sarah a private message if you have questions for her. I'm sure she'd be happy to answer any of those. And if you are sitting there thinking like, this is absolutely the work that I need to do and I need to make this investment, apply to work with me at the link in my bio. I don't know if there's anything else to add. You can go to my website. You can see the work that I do and how I've helped people. And I have a lot of free resources too. So I have workbooks on there that you can download that'll help you set goals for the year or set goals for your business. I blog almost every other week, so feel free to check that out. And it's on all these different topics. And I go live every Tuesday, so don't hesitate to follow. And we'll probably get through a lot of things that are going on in your mind because I go live on all different kinds of topics. Sarah, this has been such a pleasure. Thank you.
Absolutely. Have a good day.
Awesome. Have a great day. Have a great day, everyone. Thanks for being here.
Bye.
Bye.